Kibaki did. Yeah.
Ache, do you think Uhuru Kenyatta has, I mean, aside from, you know, there's a lot of, like we said, one, the country has a deficiency of trust generally, and it has also, it's also, there's a significant part of it that is in the government and the systems. But when we just look at it from a, you know, through an objective lens, what do you feel that Uhuru Kenyatta has done for this country that by the time he's handing over to either of the two gentlemen who's going to be announced anytime now, ideally, what do you think will be some of the things that an objective eye would say this is a solid thing he did for Kenya?
I think one would be infrastructural development, which we have seen. He took it from Kibaki and ran with it. And I think that's something we will give him, we will forever remember him for. And what I love best about the expressway, for example, is not just the road itself, but what it does to the mind of Kenyans. We never imagined it possible. We never imagined a road would actually be run over the other if you have not been out of this country. It never seemed possible. And so anytime you get into an argument, a discussion, the line Key Expressway, you know, sneaks into a conversation. So it's opened us up to possibilities. And now when we are exposed to ordinary things, we want to look for an expressway kind of way of doing things. And I think for me, that's something we might not talk about much, but for me, it is really a big thing because now we are now open-minded. The Masai say, macho ya kufunguka haifungiki. I don't know if it is.
I have to confirm that.
Yeah. Once you have seen, you cannot unsee. You know, when you've learned, when maybe learning, you can unlearn. But once you've seen, you cannot unsee. I think that's a big plus for him. He tried in the foreign affairs, like you said, working with our neighbors. Of course, forever, every time we talk about DRC and the East African community, it will always go with Uhuru's name. So that he takes, you know. And the same way the efforts around Sudan always go with Kalonzo's name. So this he takes. But in terms of bringing us together and nationhood, I think he really tried this, but may not have succeeded. But I think there was a lot of good effort towards it. I remember in his first term, he didn't visit Kisumu, for example. But in his second term with the handshake, it became a possibility, and he demystified how the Luo community looks at and experiences the Kikuyu community. He brought us, he humanized Kikuyus in the eyes of the Luos. We no longer look at them with the stereotypes that we have grown up with as a community. And I think for me that's a beautiful thing, because now we know you can actually work with them, you can actually, he has bridged a gap in terms of bringing us together, in terms of building the nation.
All right.
Perhaps it would have, if he had gone through with his BBI initiative, perhaps then he would have succeeded in that also. But he has made strides towards that. And in terms of building trust, at least he has moved the Luo community closer in terms of trust when it comes to the Kikuyu community.
Right. Well, now, just maybe in a couple of minutes, we will be able to have, you know, some sort of way and get to know how this country will be headed in terms of whether we're getting a new leader. But of course, that is most likely exactly what